In Rome, my students always clean the board for me. I see it doesn't work this way here in Winco. I must clean. Oh, okay. No, it's too late now. Too late now. And they leave an apple on the desk for me. Not as you can know. Okay, so I had a question during the break, and somebody said, "Thank you, very interesting. 5 W's. Who? Who? What? When? Where? Why?" Very interesting. But they said, where is the how? Where is the how? Okay, so in the second session this morning, we look at the how. There are 2 kinds of how. The one how is the technological how, is the medium, which is your technology, your technological medium. And the other medium, as we said, is here, is you. These are the only 2 ways that you get your message across. You either use a medium or you use yourself as the medium. So let's see what we know. You know more than I do about the technology. You know better than I do how to use your medium, but maybe we can learn something more about this medium here. And we divide into 2. Our ancestors believed that we were mind and body. Mind and body. So, the mind is the content, and the body is the form. We used to call this verbal and non-verbal. Do you remember? Do you study non-verbal language still? You still study non-verbal language? Verbal and non-verbal. The content, there are 5. There are 5 clues to verbal and non-verbal language. 5 is a magic number in communication. Why? You have 5 fingers. Yes, what else do you have? 5 Y's. Yes, what else do you have? 5 is a magic number in communication. If I'm using myself as the medium, then 5 is the most important number. Think, think, think. How do you know that you are here right now? How do you know that you're sitting there? And so what do we call those? Senses. We call them senses. How many do you have? 5. Who said 6? Who said 6? Who said 6? You're right. You're right. Only a woman would say 6. A man will never say, he says, men have difficulty to remember they have 5 senses. Women always remember 6. But not only. If you look at your body, you have 5 extensions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 extensions for the human body, right? No, that is not an extension. That is something, we call that an appendage. It is not an extension. Anyway, so you have, bad girl, this 5, we have 5 extensions, and we have 5, well, she's turning red now, you see. We have 5 extensions on those 5 extensions. On our face, we have 5 openings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 openings on the face that we use to express that we are happy, that we are listening. 5. 5 is the key to communication. It is the number for communication. Number 5. So, the 5 elements of content. How to be effective, how to be a good communicator in terms of content. To help you, they all begin with the letter C. So you can remember. 5, you can remember, 1 on each finger, and all with the letter C. The first is clear. Another word for clear? Another word for clear? Understandable, yes, very good. How do you know? What is the test? How do you know if I'm being understandable to you now? Apart from thanks to Ola back there, but how am I being understandable? Because I'm using big words. Am I using big words? Consubstantiation. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Exactly, yes. The problem with going to university and studying at college is that they teach you big words. But ordinary people, the people who read your articles, the people who listen to your radio programs, the people who watch your TV, the people who follow your blog, don't understand big words. Simple. Another word for clear is simple. Is simple. When you are 21 or 22, you want people to think that you're intelligent. Right? And so you try to show that you're very intelligent. I'm particularly intellectually advanced because of the kind of vocabulary that I tend to utilize when I'm entering into some kind of bilateral conversation with another individual. Excuse me? Did you follow? Did you do that? Did she translate that? Did you? She's fantastic. Can we give an applause to her because she's wonderful? Thank you so much. But the people who are listening, they're simple. When I was learning journalism, not at university, because when I was at university, there was no course for journalism. You studied English language, you studied literature, but there was no such thing as a journalism course when I was going to university. I had to learn from doing it. And when I was doing it, my mentors, my teachers told me, you should think that you're speaking to someone who is about 12 years of age. If your nephew or your niece who is 12 years of age can understand, if your grandmother who is 80 can understand you, then you're getting your message across. Clear. Clarity. Second, another word for concise. Exact. Precise. Precise is different. Concise means brief. Brief, to the point. Say what you mean and mean what you say. I don't know here in Ukraine, but in the United States, a sound bite on television usually lasts around 7 seconds. 7 seconds. How much can I say in 7 seconds? Is the end of the world going to be tomorrow? Well, in my view, the end of the world could be, thank you very much. It's true, we've become, music videos have taught us that we have to think very quickly and put your answer into a very short space of time because it's so difficult for us to Listen. It's becoming very... I appreciate it because I look at you and I can see that it's very hard, very difficult to listen. It is so easy to be distracted by so many things. It's a huge challenge to listen. And so to be clear and to be concise becomes more and more important. Otherwise your message just does not get across. The biggest mortal sin in communication is boredom. That is the mortal sin of communication, to bore people. Clear? Concise? Any ideas what could come next?
Great.
Oh, no, very, very good. We'll get there. Concrete. Concrete means practical, down to earth. Give people examples. Let them see. Let them experience what you are talking about. Concrete, down to earth. Show them. Talk in pictures. Speak in terms of your own experience. That is concrete. Credible. There's that word. Credible. Yes. Which is different from trust. Isn't it, Ola? We talked about this before. Huh? Credibility is different from trust. Can you help us with the word in Ukrainian for credibility? We talked about this last night. Yes. It's different from trust. Trusting you is what's more than trust. I believe you, I take you seriously, and I will do as you say. And certainly for a journalist, this is important, isn't it? How can you be credible as a journalist? How do I know you're being credible?
You check facts.
Different point of view, use it.
You give a different point of view. When do you decide that someone is credible as a journalist? What do they do that you say, yes, I believe you? Arthur, can you shout?
There are arguments, there are facts.
I'm doing this for Ola so she can translate.
Well, the statements are supported by facts, the arguments.
Statements are supported by facts, yes.
And the image.
And by images and by maybe quotes by people who could say the same thing. Who can...
Okay, facts, images, yes. I need an assistant. I need, someone who can comment. No, it's okay, it's okay. It's good for me.
Journalists give the audience an opportunity to make their own conclusion of information that he gives them. So journalist don't tell his thoughts like as a propaganda, but he gives a chance to understand and to make their own conclusions on all of it.
So open-ended instead of closed. Huh? Open instead of closed, yes? Good. Thank you. Will you really? Thank you so much. Thank you. That's my, ladies and gentlemen, my assistant all the way from Rome. Thank you so much. Yes. In my experience, I think there are two ways that I judge if someone is credible, if my correspondent or my source or my journalist is credible. And these also begin with C's. Nice, huh? Communication, the C's. One is they are consistent. Consistent. That means they are reliable. They will give me the facts and the stories in the same way without changing their points of view too often. And one is coherent. Coherent means a person who says what he thinks and does what he says. We say that together. Coherent is someone who says what he thinks. What he says, what he thinks. And who does what he says. Exactly, yes. Someone who says what he thinks and who does what he says. That is someone who is coherent. And that makes me believe you. I believe you because you are coherent. I see that what you do corresponds with what you say, and what you say corresponds with what you think. And finally, yes, number 5, say it again. What's the word?
Coherent?
No. Number 5. You said it before.
Great.
Yes. Creative. Why should creativity be important to a communicator? What is the role of creativity?
Because you can change the focus. It's happy if you want to.
Huh?
You can change focus of topic.
Change the focus of the topic. How would I know if you are being creative?
For example, you have own opinion for one topic, and I say to you, hey man, look in the other side, look in the different side.
Well done, well done. Creativity does not mean making something new. It is very difficult to make something new. But you can help people, Sophia, as you know. Huh? You can help people to see things from a different point of view. Sophia, could you come over here for a minute, please? Thank you. Okay. Would you tell them what it feels like to be here?
Everybody look at me. And what? Should I continue your speech? Yeah, so what do you think you should, number 6, what should be here? Your point of view? Like,
What do you feel like there?
Like, I'm in the center of everybody.
Do you feel good?
Yeah, I like this feeling.
Oh, you do like that?
That's why I'm a journalist, you know.
That's why I asked. Thank you. Creative means simply experience something from a different point of view and allowing people to see that from a different point of view. It means, as some people say, thinking outside the box. Did you manage to do those?
Yes.
Oh, do you have them? Where are they?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Do you think you're a creative person? Do you think you're a creative person? From 1 to 10? 7. Do you think you're a creative person? Yeah. From 1 to 10?
Maybe more.
More than 10? Oh, very competitive. Okay. It's very difficult for us. It's very difficult to assess your own creativity. I will stand here in front of you today and I will make a very strong statement. Are you ready for this? Are you over 18? Okay. Remember what I will say to you today. Huh? Whatever field of communication you choose to enter, whatever medium you choose to specialize in, you will never be successful. You will never be effective unless and until you allow your creativity to run free. Unless and until you allow your creativity to run free. Where does creativity come from? What is the source of creativity? Where do we get it? Where does it come from? Look over there at the back. There she is, sitting at the back of the room, and where is she pointing? Oh, I believe that too. I do. To me, creativity is one of the proofs that God exists. Every every time somebody near me creates something, I think, yes, he does exist. Huh? Creativity comes from the Creator. When they say that we are made in God's image, does God look like me? I hope not. Does God look like you? I hope so. We don't. When we say that we are made in God's image, I truly believe we are made in God's image because we are able to create. And each one of us is able to create. Some more, some less, some in an extraordinary way, some in a simple way. But every single one of us is able to create. Our creativity is our ability to think and to act outside the strictures, the confines, the limitations that society and politics and family and tradition put upon us. Would you like to find out how creative you are? Are you interested? Are you ready to be challenged? Then I invite you, if you can, and if you dare, play this little game with me. With the help of my assistant, I will hand out these little pieces of paper. Could you help also, please, Bogdan, because we need to start almost together. Do you have a pen? Do you have something to write with, or a pencil? You will need something to write with. So take out, if you don't have one, you need to take out a pen. It's not a test. It's not a test. I detest tests. I'm not a psychologist. I do not like tests. It's a game. It is just a game. And the purpose of the game is to help you to assess your own level of creativity. That's all. No one is going to say you're a good person or bad person. I'm not interested. There's no judgment. It's simply a game, an opportunity to assess your creativity. Listen carefully before we begin. Like all games, we will have our pens. Okay. Like all games, it has rules. First rule. Creativity, listen carefully, it's very interesting. I played this game with top managers of major corporations around the world. I really do. And the results are sometimes shocking to them. I played this game with cardinals and bishops in the Catholic Church. And the results are sometimes shocking for them when they see. Here are the rules of the game. How long did it take God to create the world?
6 days.
He rested on the seventh day. It took him 6 days. I give you 6 minutes. Why? Because creativity is always limited by time. When you're working in your new job, the boss will tell you, I give you a week, or I give you a day, or I give you an hour to come up with this. It's not I give you until you feel like it. Creativity is always limited by time. God himself was limited by time. 1. 2, second, it's exhausting. If God created the world in 6 days and then had to lie down and sleep because he was exhausted after the creative process, it's a tiring thing to create. So, you get 6 minutes to finish this exercise. Rule 1, time limitation. Only 3 rules. Rule 2, you will see on the paper the beginning of a design. Now, this is not about art. It's about creativity. Creativity is about using what you have, using the information that is available, and turning it into a message that other people can understand. So you will see the beginning of a design. Your task is to complete as many designs as possible in those 6 minutes in such a way that every design is unique. Another aspect of creativity, uniqueness. Look around the room. Look around the room. Creativity is uniqueness, always something different, and recognizable, so that if another person looks at the picture, they know what it is. Creativity must be useful. People have to be able to see what it is, understand what it is. So you have a time limit. You have to complete as many drawings as possible in such a way that each one is different from the other and each one is recognizable to another person. Is that clear? Yes? Are you ready? On your marks. Get set. And go. Start working as soon as you get your paper. Give me some too.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry.
All right. And 3, 2, 1, go.
And very important, you do not discuss, please, 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 do not discuss your paper with someone else. Do not discuss with someone else. Pretend you are a university professor now. Pretend you are a university professor. You do not discuss with the person you have. Very good. Now you have the paper in front of you. You have 3 tasks. That's not your paper, right? No. You have three tasks to perform. First is very simple. Look at the paper in front of you. If there is any design that has not been touched, then cross out that box. Exclude any box that has not been drawn over. Put a big X through the box. If there's no attempt to draw anything, if it is still in the original form, then I'm sorry, cut it out, exclude. That person did not get that far. And that is the first sign. Right? Were you able to complete the assignment? The second gets more complicated, Arthur. A little bit more complicated, so listen carefully. This time, look at the pictures, and if there is any picture you do not understand, cross it out. Cross it out. You mustn't don't ask the person, excuse me, what is this? I would love to speak to God and say, God, excuse me, what does this mean? I don't understand. We can't do that. If we don't understand, cross it out. Cross it out. All right? So you use your own judgment here. Huh? This is very subjective. Maybe it means something to the person who made it, but if it means nothing to you, then kill it. It's not creative. Third, last one. This is more complicated still, so listen carefully. Final criteria. Look at the page And if you see the same subject repeated more than once, you may keep one and eliminate the others. For example, the semicircles, if they are three faces, even if one is a man's face, and the other is a woman's face, and the other is a baby's face, they are still faces. So you may keep one and cancel the others. In the middle, people like to make houses. Maybe one is a tall building, and one is a dasha. They are both houses. Eliminate one and keep the other.
Yes. Is one face is human face, and another one is animal.
What do you think?
But it's very original.
I would keep both. I would keep animal face and human face. I would keep both, yes. 3 animal faces, I would keep one and kill the other. Is that clear? All right. What you need to do now, you count up. Count up what is left. After you have eliminated, count up what is left. Write the number underneath the person's name. It will be out of 15. The maximum is 15. You give them a number out of 15, write it under their name, and return the paper to its owner. Also work in communications with married couples. We have weekend masterclasses with married couples. And we talk about communication as a couple. Do you know, in relationships, the biggest reason why people get divorced? Don't believe me, ask a divorce lawyer, and the lawyer will confirm. I have confirmed with lawyers. They will tell you the most common reason why people get divorced or they break up is because she says he doesn't understand me, and he says she doesn't understand me. Communication. Communication. So hard to understand each other. Creativity in communication. So, anybody, I'm just curious, did anybody get 15? Nobody got 15. Oh, I'm so relieved. You got 15. You gave her 15. Yes, you have a bit of a fever. That's okay. It's almost impossible to get 15. Who? You got 15. Who did? You got 15. What's wrong with you? Huh? It's impossible to get 15. Who got more than 7? Wonderful. Wonderful. You get more than 7, you're a genius. If you get more than 7, you are a very creative person. Sincerely. That is the result. But it's more interesting than numbers. It's much more interesting than the numbers. Do you want to know something more about this? Okay. First of all, you were given a piece of paper. A piece of paper is a project. A piece of paper is like your life. That's the first metaphor. That's the first symbol. Your life is a piece of paper. What was written on this piece of paper is your karma. It is your potential. It is the boxes, it is the possibilities that you have. What you did with it is is the right hand. It's the choice. It's the libero arbitrio. It's you putting your creativity to work. But when you were given the paper, nobody told you which way to hold the paper, did they? Who drew, starting with the circles, up? Who drew, starting with the hooks, up? Did anybody turn the paper this way? Or that way? Okay, very good. That's already something. Most people, did you see the hands? Most people will look at it this way because this is the way we are used to seeing a piece of paper. You are already showing that you are able to see things from a new perspective and a more media perspective if you hold the paper that way, which is the shape of your computer screen and the TV screen. If I do this game with cardinals or bishops who are over 60 years old, everybody will do it this way. Everybody, 100%. Because they do not belong to a media age. They will not think of holding the paper this way around. If you would like, if you have time, if you want to, and if you dare, after the class, I can tell you what those symbols mean. You see, when we are asked to do something under pressure, and you were asked to do it under pressure, you were given a small amount of time, and even if I told you very clearly that it was a game, you live in a university environment, and so your heart interpreted it as a test. And you felt under pressure. As such, when you did the drawings, you did something that we call, you produced you have in front of you a series of what we call archetypes. Archetypes are symbols that you carry with you from the time you were very, very small. You drew little houses. You drew clocks. You drew kites and boats. You drew little stick men. You drew on your paper what is important to you. You have in front of you your priorities and your fears. Who drew clocks? A clock is an archetype for an obsession with time, a fear of time, and a fear of not getting things done on time. Who drew some kind of house? A house is an archetype for home and security and family. We draw houses when we are little children, and we draw ourselves hand in hand next to mommy and daddy, next to the house. The house is a need for security. Who drew an arrow? An arrow. An arrow is an archetype for ambition. Who drew, etc., etc., etc. If you're interested, I can help you to interpret some of the signs. But they are... Who drew a tunnel? Who drew a tunnel? No one drew a tunnel. All right. Did you draw a tunnel? Okay. The train in the tunnel. Okay. Okay. Who drew a sun? Was the sun rising or was the sun setting? Was the sun rising or setting? Because whether you're an optimist or a pessimist will depend on whether your sun is rising or your sun is setting, and so on. And so these are archetypes. These are the drawings that we pull out of the right side of our brain. The right side of our brain contains these images, and the right side of our brain is telling us a lot about what our fears and our concerns are. but each one is private. Very good. So there we have it. There we have the credibility. Are you interested in the non-verbal communication?
Yes.
Are you interested in the non-verbal communication? Could someone bring a stretcher into the room, please, to take away the people in the back row, because I think they're dead. Could you take them away, please, just quietly? Do you want to hear about non-verbal communication? Yes. We have 20 minutes to do non-verbal communication. Are you ready? Yes. Okay, here we go. There are 5. And to help you, this is content. Content begins with C. And so, form begins with F. So guess, to help you to remember, what do you think the 5 forms begin with? The letter F. Yes. F, 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 and F. And these are the clues to being an effective communicator. So, if your verbal communication is clear, concise, concrete, credible, and creative, then your verbal, the way you communicate verbally, is going to achieve its effect. Your non-verbal communication is going to depend on your hello. Where do we look at someone when we meet someone the first time? What do we look at? Of course we do. We look at the face. And within the face, yes, we look at the eyes. Do you know that we communicators, I teach at a place called the Gregorian University. It has a big title, Pontifical Gregorian University. Pontifical Gregorian. It's pontifical because the Pope is the head of the university. At my university, 16 popes have studied at that university. 32 saints have studied at that university. And 1/3 of the world's bishops have studied at that university. Which is a bit scary, because if I'm giving a class like this one, I know I have 3 bishops, 6 saints, and probably a pope sitting in front of me, so I must be very careful what I say. We did an experiment. We filmed faces, and we followed eye movement where we look on the face. Do you know where you look on the face? You look from the eyes to the mouth, to the eyes, to the mouth. That's how you look. Very, very quickly. Why can't I just look at your mouth? Wouldn't it be easier just to look at your mouth? How does it feel if I look at your mouth? Really?
Моє відчуття, так?
No. Why does society says you may not look at someone's mouth? Society says you must look at the eyes. Why? Why? Surely the mouth is the best way to tell if someone is happy, someone is sad. The mouth is the best way to tell. So why don't we look at the mouth?
Because mouth can tell what emotion people express, but it can't tell if it's true. Like eyes can tell if the emotion is true, like if the expression of the person is really corresponds her inner feeling.
That's very good. There's a whole, in the study of non-verbal communication, you study the smile and tell me if I'm smiling or not.
No.
Am I smiling?
No.
Am I smiling now?
Yes.
Are you sure? Is it a real smile? No, it's not a real smile. The eyes would tell you. The eyes would tell you. Am I smiling now? Yeah, of course. Yes, yes. The emoticon, when you're sending an SMS, how do you show that you are happy? Do you use, in Ukraine, do you use? You use that? Or you just use that? Or two if you're very happy. Do you know what they do in Japan? This is the... Yes, but they only use this in Japan. Because the smile is not in the mouth, the smile is in the eyes. We don't look at the mouth for another reason. Think. How do you feel if I look at your mouth? Not comfortable, not comfortable. Do you know why we don't look at the mouth? Because we associate the mouth with... This is a Catholic university, right? But you're all over 18. So do you all know what sex is? Okay, well let me explain. So sex is what you do when... Oh, so you know! Oh, okay, fine, well I won't explain then. There's a sexual association. That is why we feel a bit uncomfortable. And that is why people will often, when they're talking, they will go, They feel uncomfortable. The first, you can't go, but you can go, we try to cover them up because of the sexual connotation. So, but we do the face. The face is the first thing, and the smile is essential. Would you say that Ukrainians are a smiling people? Oh, that's interesting. So, hands up those who say yes. Are you filming this? Hands up those who say no. Ooh, really? Ukrainians are not a smiling people. You're smiling now. No? Okay. When you meet someone the first time, do you smile? I'm kidding. Yes. No. Yes. Vlad.
Yes.
Good, huh?
Thank you.
Vlad.
Very precious. And always when we meet somebody, we show more serious.
Yes.
And no smiling. Hello, I'm at work conversation and hello, nice to meet you.
You don't do that. But no, it's
more serious and speak to work subjects.
But then later, when you get to know the person, you feel a bit more. With some whiskey. What?
And
don't say. Yes. Another experiment we did at the Gregorian University. Are you interested?
Yes.
Are you curious?
Yes.
In interpersonal relationships and how the face and the non-verbal can change the way we communicate. Do you know a cartoon called Tom and Jerry? You do?
Yes.
Does he have a name? Do they have a different name here in Ukraine?
No.
They're still Tom and Jerry?
Yes.
Tom and Jerry Ukraine version?
Yes.
And they speak Ukrainian?
No.
Never mind. Okay, so it's a cartoon. So we took a cartoon of Tom and Jerry, and we divided the class into two. Same number of boys, same number of girls, same age, same hairstyle, same everything. As much the same as possible. In two separate rooms. And they watched the same cartoon of Tom and Jerry. Only difference. One group sat in the room and watched the cartoon. The other group sat in the next room and watched the cartoon with a pen stuck in their mouth like this the whole time. At the end, we asked the groups to assess how funny was the cartoon. Guess which group thought the cartoon was very, very funny? The one with the hand in the mouth. Because when we smile, we produce a chemical in our face that makes us feel good. And when we feel good, we make other people feel good. The Americans understand this very, very well. And they do the smile. Always. They will always say, "Hi there! So how you doing, partner?" No, it's... Sorry. The face. The first impression comes from the face. Next. What's the next thing you look at? Well done. Very good. Face. Fingers. Fingers, the gesture. The gesture. Do you gesture a lot in Ukraine? Hands up those who say yes. Hands up those who say no. This whole national identity thing is getting very complicated. I'm beginning to understand now much more about Ukraine and what else. Okay, yes, gestures. Where I come from, in Italy, we live on gestures. You can stand far away down the road and watch two people and understand exactly what they're saying because just by watching their gestures. They have a gesture for everything. They have a gesture for every feeling, for every necessity. There is a gesture. As professional communicators, though, as effective, because our class is about how to be a better communicator. How should we use gesture? Is there a rule regarding gesture? Here in Ukraine.
Here in Ukraine, but it's different from other countries.
Different and the same. There are some things that are the same. There are some universal rules. One of the universal rules about gesture is that gestures should do two things. Gestures should do two things. Gestures should do two things. They should illustrate what you are saying. Since 50% of your communications capacity comes through what you do, not just what you say, and that it's often more likely people will remember what you do rather than what you say. At least 50% of your gesture will help the other to remember what you said. You have 50% more opportunity to remember that I said 50% than if I said 50%. If you see it and you hear it, it is reinforced. And that's what the gesture does. It illustrates. If I talk about the world, you should see the world. It illustrates what you say and it underlines what you say. It gives emphasis. It reinforces what you say. Those are the two ways, universal ways, that we use gesture. Okay, quickly. So, face, fingers, what else? That gets interesting, yeah? We're going down. We're going down. Face, fingers, just for fun, I call it feet. Face, fingers, feet. And by feet, I mean posture. What are you doing while you're talking to me? Would it be different? Would it be different if I gave this class to you sitting in this chair and the whole time, saying the same things? We're talking about how to be an effective communicator, how to use communications techniques, but how long would you think you would follow the conversation? Does anything change in the way you are listening to me by what we call my posture? Does it change? It does, radically. Someone comes into your room tonight, huh? They come to your room and they say, he says, I think I'm pregnant. So, what do you do? What do you do? Do you go, okay, well, let's talk about this. So, who do you think is the mother? Or do you say, really? How did you do that? Does something change in the communication? From this to this? It does, it does. The posture, the way we physically relate to the other person radically changes their perception of us and the effectiveness of our message, whether we're standing, whether we're sitting. What if I were to give the whole lecture like this? So, communication is it's basically about two people and a message. Two people and a message, and then maybe in between is a medium. And of course what happens, you see, is your hands, since your hands always talk, whether you like it or not, there's a danger that while you're talking and your hands are going, oh, sorry. Allow the hands to speak for you. Allow the hands, don't try and hide the hands, huh? and use an open posture to the people you're speaking with. They're more likely to be open to you. Quickly, face, feathers, feet. Field. Field means distance. Distance. Distance is very, very important. Could you come over here, please? Do you mind? Yes, you're a lovely green. That's because I like it. Looks Irish. You see the Irish green. So, oh my God, you're tall. No, I didn't realize you were so tall. Never mind. No, come back. No, that's fine. That's no excuse. That's fine. So I'll just stand up here. That's all. So your name is?
Sorry.
Your name?
Mikola.
Hello, Mikola. Thank you very much. This is a lovely Irish green.
Yes, I prepared for your visit.
I see. Thank you. Very good. Now, do we know each other? We don't know each other. Okay. So you stand over there, and we pretend that we're going to meet each other for the first time. Now we don't say anything yet. No, we're at a party, maybe. Huh? I have a glass of gin. Okay. You have nothing yet because you just arrived at the party, so you don't have anything. I have my glass of gin, and we're here at the party, and I look and I say, "Oh, nice, green. Ira, he must be a nice person." Huh? So we have seen each other, okay? We kind of smile. So, oh yeah, hi. He likes me. Oh. So now we can approach each other. The field we can come closer to each other. In psychology, they call this proxemics. Very important study in psychology, proxemics. How close would we come? We'll start working, and when we're at the right distance, just say stop. Okay? All right, you ready? Okay, so stop walking and go. You say stop. Oh my gosh. Oh, do it again. Do it. Say when you feel comfortable, when you're comfortable. When you're comfortable, then you say stop. Okay, so smile. Hi. Not playing the game. Stop here. Here's a good distance. Okay. What can you tell? Look at him carefully and ask, does he really want to get to know me?
Yes. No.
Oh. Who says yes? Who says no? Okay, lots of no's. Lots of no's. Why do you say no? How can you tell he doesn't really want to get to know me?
He's too far.
Okay, this is, look at the posture. Look at my posture towards him, and look at his, is he facing me? No. What is he doing?
Facing us.
Yes, he's facing you. Why is he doing that? What is our most, apart from our face, where are we most vulnerable? Here. Are you over 18? And here. This is our most vulnerable area. And so when we meet, yes. And so, since we can't go towards someone and say, hi, nice to meet you. We can't do that, right? So the best way he can protect himself is to say, hi, nice to meet you. He holds it wrong. Can we try that one more time? One more, properly. Okay, one more time. So now we are getting to know each other. Smile, hi. Okay, no. Stop. Aha. Raise your arm and see what. Look at that. Look at that. He has a measure inside him. A comfortable proxemic is one arm away and a little bit more. Because at this distance, I can't touch him. I can't scratch him. I can't hit him. This is exactly the comfortable distance for a first time. Well, we feel good. Now you feel okay. Now we can talk to each other. And where did you buy the shirt? Here in Lviv. Where can I get one? No, never mind. Okay, so this is now we can start talking. He feels comfortable. What would happen if we start again? What would happen if we come together again? You say stop. Okay, so now we're really high. So yeah, get to know and so. Okay. Stop and so what can you tell us? Where do you come from? Yeah? Oh, you do? Okay. What do you do? Do you work? Are you studying? What do you study in university? What do you study in university? Journalism. That's interesting. And what is What happened to that relationship? Was it positive or negative? Why? What happened? I like him. I want to be his friend. What happened?
You look like a crazy man.
I look like crazy. Because I did not respect the distance. And so what did he do? Did you watch him? What was the first thing he did? He was very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. The first thing he did, what? No. The first thing, what did he do? He was standing like this. I was here. The first thing he did was, he did this. Not to look at my eyes. Not to look at my face. He turned away from my face. Now, if I was clever, I would see and understand, oh, okay, and move back. But I'm very stupid, huh? And so I kept coming. And then what did he do? He tried to make the distance, huh? He tried to make the distance again. But he was very respectful. Because he knows that I know the Pope, and the Pope knows God, and so he must be very, so he was very respectful. A little while ago, I was in America when I did the same experiment with a student, except we were in a room, there was a wall. And I was playing, like now, just playing, to show and demonstrate, and I won't do this experiment with a girl, obviously, because I only do this experiment with a boy, you see? And he was going, yeah, okay. And then he started to push me. And he was with then, well, first one hand, and then with two hands, and then we got to the wall like this, and he got to his back, and then he hit me, boom, in the face, like this. And then he went, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I didn't want, and I, oosh, well, okay, don't worry, it's my fault. The attack mechanism, he became like an animal whose area, whose field had been invaded. I was the invader, and he had to defend himself, and I did not read the signs. I should already read the signs when he started to go, like this, and bang, he was so sorry. Yes, we went out for a drink afterwards, he bought me 2 beers, and it was fine. I lost a tooth, I think, but that's okay. Be very careful of the field. Be very respectful of the field. With children are very sensitive to field. The worst thing you can do to a child, may I, with your permission, the worst thing you may do with a child is say, oh, how are you today? Who's mommy's little girl? They're so cute. Sorry. Okay. is to look down on the child. The best thing that you do with a child is, exactly, you go down to the child's level and you talk to the child like a real person. Why do people always use a stupid voice when they talk to children and animals? Why? It's terrifying. Of course the child sees you, he runs away. I don't know why we must always use a stupid voice for children and animals. You go down to the level and you speak to them like a real person. Field. What's the last one? The last one? So, face, fingers, feet, field, feathers. What do you think I mean by feathers? What do you think I mean by feathers? What you're wearing. What you're wearing. Everything is communicating something about you. Everything. I can see you're a very creative person because no one else would dare to wear the the kind of glasses that you wear, the kind of watch you wear. All of these things are contributing to: are you clear? Are you concise? Are you concrete? Are you credible? If I come to you today wearing a gold Rolex watch, and I talk to you about poverty and our need to pay attention to the poor, underprivileged people of the earth. Did you see my gold Rolex watch? Am I credible? Of course not. Of course not. Is there a communicator, since this is our theme today, is there a communicator who is very credible? Can you name someone? Someone who says what he thinks, and does what he says, and dresses, and respects all of these things in his verbal and his non-verbal language? Can you think of someone? No one? Who? I work with someone like that.
Dead or alive?
Either way, I work with someone like that. And his name is? Begins with an F. Francis. Francis, truly. He is all these things. He speaks in a very simple language. Have you seen how he takes a script that has been prepared for him by the Vatican Secretariat of State. There are people who have stayed up all night to prepare the script. Every word has been carefully prepared. And what does he do? He goes, yes, so let me tell you, and he begins a dialogue with the people. He speaks in a very simple way, concise, short, Yes, his homilies are one page. One page. He tells the priests, he says, your homily must not be more than 5, that's interesting, 5 minutes. He says 5 minutes. When last did you hear a priest talk for only 5 minutes?
No.
Have you ever in your life heard a priest, I'm sorry. Are there priests in Ukraine who talk for only 5 minutes? Francis says, concise, concrete, down to earth. He always uses examples, always. He says, when I was a priest in Argentina, I knew this woman or this man, and they came to me and they told me, and he tells you a story. He always tells you a story. Is he credible? Is he consistent? Huh? You don't seem very sure. Yes. Is he creative? Does he think outside the box? Sometimes people say he thinks too much outside the box. Do you know what the most famous quote of 2013 was? You can Google it. It's on t-shirts today. It's on coffee mugs today. The quote?
Who am I to judge the people?
Who am I to judge? Well, that's 5 words. Who am I to judge? That's thinking outside the box. And some people like that, and some people don't like that, because it opens up many questions if I say, who am I to judge? Very creative. Have you seen how he smiles? Have you seen how he gestures? Have you seen him? Really, have you? Have you seen him? Do they show the Pope on television in Ukraine? Ever? Have you seen when he is on the car going around St. Peter's Square, how he will look into the crowd and he will go, how he will point at people. You, he's saying, you, I see you. That's what he's saying. Even if you're sitting at the back of the room, I see you. Or he looks at other people and he goes, it's okay, I'm here, relax. Huh? His gestures, he uses gestures very freely. His postures. Did you see what he did in the first year that he was Pope? Can I tell you the story quickly? The first year that he was Pope, during Holy Week, the tradition is that the Pope goes to the big Basilica of St. John Lateran in Rome, very big church, to wash the feet, always of 12 priests who represent the 12 apostles. Sometimes in the past they have been 12 poor people. 12 poor people whose feet have already been washed and scrubbed and cleaned with a brush before the Pope comes to wash their feet. In the past, these people would sit on top, they'd sit very high up, so the Pope could simply come past, put a little water on, and then bless the foot, and then go on. Did you see what he did the first year of his pontificate? They called St. John Lateran and they said, the Pope will not be coming. And they said, what? The Pope has to come. We've already painted the place. We've already cleaned everything and polished the candlesticks. He must come. And they said, sorry, he wants to go to a prison. And they said, what? The Pope wants to go to a prison because when he was Archbishop of Buenos Aires, that is what he did. Every year he would go to a prison. And not just any prison, but a prison where there are young people. And so he went to the young people's prison in Rome. And people said, this is very strange. When he arrived, they had quickly, they had to call these young people, and they lined up 12 boys all ready. And the Pope said, hello, how are you? And he said, excuse me, are there only boys in this prison? And they said, no, there's women's, but they're over there. He said, I would like some women too, please. And they brought some girls in whose feet were really dirty because they had no time to clean them. And one of them was a Muslim girl. And if you see the pictures, where is Francis? He's on the floor, washing the feet and kissing the feet, and he's down on the floor. What does that communicate? There were no words, just the gestures. What does it communicate? What do you see? What do you see? What do you see?
No.
What words? Yeah, how would you describe what you see?
I can describe my feelings this time, and I'm excited of your speech, and even now I just took for myself something that I was really need several days maybe ago. So.
Thank you very much. You see humility. You see humility. You see someone who does not speak from up here, but someone who experiences from down there. Someone who meets people at their own level. That is what he does. That is what he does with his posture. And the feathers, what does he wear? What does he wear? He wears white. Have you seen what he wears underneath the white? He wears his dirty old trousers underneath the white. And some of the people in the Vatican get very upset because they say, it doesn't look nice because you can see the dark trousers under the white. Why don't you wear white trousers under the white? And he says, what? These are fine. I'll wear these. Well, don't waste money on buying new trousers. You know where he lives. He lives on the second floor, room number 202, just as you get out of the elevator, inside the Vatican, not in the Papal Palace. He wears the same cross made out of silver and the same ring that he wore when he was still the Archbishop. It's very funny. When you come to Rome, when you come to visit me, I didn't say if, when you come to visit me in Rome, you will see that near the Vatican there are many shops that sell clothes and feathers, accessories for priests and cardinals and bishops. And before Pope Francis, the windows were filled with beautiful big gold crosses, with diamonds and jewels and things. You go to the shop now, no gold crosses. Simple. Wood, silver, very, very simple. Because that's the example that he is giving. 5 minutes for questions. Go. Sophia.
Did you give masterclass for Pope to do all this right? Or it's his feeling?
That's the way he is. That really is the way he is. He's spontaneous. I didn't teach him, but I love him very much. I do love him very much. Yes, can you... Sorry. No, I'm doing it because all I have to...
Well, you just told me Pope Francis lives in room 202, right by the elevator. It's a nice picture for press and stuff like that, but still we understand that there are some mechanics of the church. For example, first question that got into my head, what does Pope's security think about him living in room 202 right by the elevator? It must be the most important elevator in the world.
That's it?
Yes. That was the first one.
Oh,
yes. The first one
that jumped into your mind. Security. Security is a huge issue with Francis. It's a huge issue. It's not an issue inside the Vatican. Because when you come to see me, I will take you and I will show you where he lives. It's inside Vatican City, and it's very difficult to get through. You have to go past Swiss guards, civilian guards, so he's quite safe when he's in room 202. The problem is when he is traveling. I have traveled with him on a few occasions. I was in the Philippines in January with him. I will be in the United States with him in September. That's the problem. Because he will not drive in a bulletproof car. He always wants a small car. He will not wear any kind of protection. He says, I must be close to the people and just deal with it. And so the security deals with it, but it's a source of constant concern. Yes, yes it is. People have asked Francis the same question and said, you're being unkind to your security people. And he says, I'm here as long as God wants me to be here. If God wants me to go, that's his business. I'm ready to go, as long as it's not painful. It's true, that's what he said. He said, I'm ready to go at any moment, as long as it's not painful. I can't take pain. That's what he answered. Any more questions? Yes. English or Ukrainian? English, like otherwise
There was a story about the Pope Francis. When the pregnant woman wrote the letter to him, and she wanted to make an abortion and refused from the child. And there was some news in media that Pope Francis called to her and said that he will become the father of Christ for her children, for her child. And I want to ask, is it true? First question. And the second one, how the post service of the Vatican works? Post, like
the postal service. You want to send me a letter? Huh? The postal service works very well. Oh, to the Pope! How the hell did the Pope works? Okay. Yes, it's a true story. The Pope Francis does not have a secretary. He does not have a cell phone. He goes back to his office, to his room in Santa Marta, which is the house where he lives, and he picks up the phone. He calls people, and so every now and again you hear he calls someone. He not only told that woman that she should have her baby, but he has on other occasions said, see, not everybody is like him. There have been women who have called and said, I'm not married, I'm going to have a baby, or I have a baby, and my priest will not baptize my baby because I'm not married. And he has said, bring your baby to Rome and I will baptize your baby. 2 weeks ago, in St. Peter's Basilica, he performed a ceremony creating new priests. If you look at what he said there, he said no priest has the right to refuse baptism to any child. So it's not just him. He is trying to give a lesson to others. If you write a letter to the Pope, it goes to the Vatican Secretary of State. If they can answer the letter, they will answer the letter. If they think it is very important, something that only he should see, they will pass it on to him and he decides what to do with it. But it's a very effective system. Every letter gets read. And they get hundreds of thousands of letters in so many different languages from all over the world every day. Bags and bags of letters. People still write letters. You had enough? Yes, you're getting tired now. I can see. I can see you getting tired. What? One last question, Sophia, please. Last one. It's a good one, huh?
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Last time you speak about digital, how I feel digital, like we don't have any limits between us. Like I can write to some priest and say like you're not right. Yeah, and I mean, and you work in church and Pope are very open. And my question is the church ready to be open? Like, are the church ready to answer a very difficult question which we have?
Give me a difficult question.
Like,
ask me a difficult question.
I will prefer 10, maybe.
What?
Like,
what do you consider a difficult question?
Now I think why church can recognize people with homosexual, like why church prefer many people who think that they are true to they have rights to think that their faith is true, like why church connect all these people who think that they are right. Yeah. So my final question will. Why inside the church there is so much people who think that their faith is right? Yeah, it's a great question.
Yes. And the answer, Sophia, is, and not just in the church. Huh? And not just in the church. Most people think that they are right about most things. The church is growing, is changing. It's not its teaching. The teaching, what they call the magisterium, the teaching remains the same because the church believes that the teaching comes from Jesus Christ, is expressed through the Gospels, through the tradition of the church, and so it's not changing the teaching, but it's changing the way it applies that teaching, which is certainly a more open and a more welcoming and a more compassionate approach. Rather than being judgmental. I think that's what he means by who am I to judge? The church is not standing there with a finger and saying, you are good, you will go to heaven, you are bad, you will go. That's not what it's doing anymore. The church is being compassionate and opening its arms and welcoming people and saying, God loves you. That's what he's saying all the time. Huh? God loves you, God loves you. And I think God loves you, and I love you, and I'm so grateful to you for coming here today and for being so patient and so kind with me and so compassionate with me and listening to me talk. Thank you so much indeed.